Hey guys, Ike here from MikeSetDoors.com. I'm here today to answer a question that I get almost on a daily basis, and that is, as a new shooter, what bow should I be looking at? And I don't normally say a specific, go out and look for a Bowtech or look for a Bear, look for a Hoyt, look for a Mathews. You know, I don't get into the model specifics of each bow. What I really talk about is the specs, and the one spec that really matters for a new shooter is brace height. And brace height is the distance from the back of the riser to the string, and brace height's going to affect how forgiving that bow is to bad form. A shorter brace height, which we're going to say a short brace height is 6 inches or below, long brace height is 7 inches or above, and 6.5 inches, you get into there, that's kind of in the middle. That's kind of can be forgiving the closer you get to 6 inches, and can be a little less forgiving the closer you get to 6 inches. It can be a little more forgiving the closer you get to 7. But for new shooters, I recommend a brace height of 7 inches or up. And the reason for that is the shorter brace height, the string actually sits closer to the handle, and as you let this go, the arrow comes forward and it stays connected to the string longer. So it goes all the way to the 6-inch mark before the arrow actually leaves the string, versus a longer brace height bow only goes to the 7-inch brace height or 7-inch mark, and then the arrow leaves the string. So if you're a new shooter and you're doing something like this, or you're doing this, or you're doing something else that most new shooters have a habit of doing, the longer that arrow stays on the string, the more accentuated that bad form, that jerking of the arrow or that dropping of the bow is gonna be. So the shorter brace heights are gonna be less forgiving to flaws in your form. And everybody's got flaws in their form. I've been shooting for 20 plus years and I've still got flaws in my form, as a lot of you guys have seen if you watch my Project Ike videos. But as a new shooter, they're going to be accentuated. You're going to have more bad habits. So axle to axle used to be really important, but now today with the long riser technology that most bow companies use, you can see this bow is almost all riser. The limbs come out and actually are almost even with the riser, with the edge of the riser. So axle to axle is the measurement from this axle to this axle here. Now there are some companies that make some shorter axle to axle bows. As a new shooter, I would stay away from something under 30 inches. And that's about it. But I prefer, myself, something in the 33 to 34 inch mark. And that's what's comfortable for me. If you're a bigger guy as a new shooter, you may want to go with something with 35 inch axle to axle or something like that, just to be more comfortable for you. Yeah, I've seen some guys out there that are 6'3", shooting a 30 inch axle to axle bow, and it just looks tiny on them, and they're uncomfortable, and they can't figure out why. And they just really need a bigger bow. So if you're a smaller guy, you know, like me, I'm only 5'8". You know, 30 to 33 to 34 feels alright to me. If you're a bigger guy, you're 6'3", 6'4", you know, you probably want to go with a little bit longer axle to axle bow. But the axle to axle really is just simply for that, more than anything these days, is comfort. A longer axle to axle provides a more stable shooting platform, but with today's longer riser technologies, the risers are so long that these bows really have a minimal amount of pin float. And when I talk about pin float, I'm talking about when you're at full draw, your pin actually floating around the target. So axle to axle is not quite as important as it used to be. The main thing you're really going to want to watch is the brace height. Like I said earlier, brace height's from the back of your handle to your string, not your cables, to your string. So as a new shooter, 7 inches or above is what I recommend. And don't get into the speed game. That's something that's going to come as you get a little bit better at bows, or get a little better form. There are a lot of bows out there with 7-inch brace heights that are shooting 330 plus feet per second or faster, and I guarantee you that is enough to kill anything on the planet if you have good shot placement. And that's the key. If you go out there and have bad shot placement because your form is bad and you're shooting a really low brace height fast bow, you know, the odds of you successfully harvesting that animal are going to be minimized, versus a little bit slower bow with a bigger brace height that's a little bit more forgiving to bad form, that you put it right in the Boilermaker, you get a good double lung. I don't care how what kind of speed your bow's shooting. If you get a good double lung, you're more than likely gonna find that animal. So that's what I recommend for new shooters, is long brace sight. As far as what brand of bow you shoot or what type of bow you shoot, you know, that's up to you. Go shoot them and get out there and try them all out, because what's comfortable for me is not going to be comfortable for you. I review a ton of bows every year, and I review those bows in a manner of this, not looking for a bow for me, but looking for a bow for everybody. Just in general, how does this bow perform? When it comes down to it, not all these bows that I review actually fit into my shooting style, and it fit into my what I want out of a hunting bow. This Newbury blade is, for me, is perfect. It's got the axle to axle that I like. It's got the 6.5-inch brace sight, which I like real well, because I can still get pretty good speeds out of it, and it's still forgiving to those few flaws that I still have left. So there are a lot of bows out there on the market, and go pick them up and go try them all that you can. But for you guys that are new out there, and you send me I'm probably going to send you a link to this video, and here's the answer to your question. The main thing you're going to want to look for is a 7-inch or longer brace height. So for more product reviews, how-to videos, be sure to check us out, IkesOutdoors.com. Appreciate you guys watching.